It's going to happen. I really do. I think it's just too enticing for them to not do it. They'll all do it. It'll benefit everybody. Well, more so the countries that have been accumulating all the gold. But that's when Alistair McLeod's guesstimate that China has over 40,000 metric tons, not the 2,600 they tell us. That's why they're not telling us how much they have. They're waiting until it's time to.
Today, we're diving into some hard-hitting truths with Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin. He's discussing the unsettling potential for chaos in the U.S., the global shift away from the U.S. dollar, and the emerging power of gold-backed currencies from Russia and China. Andy also warns about the manipulation in precious metals markets and the possibility of a BRICS-led commodity cartel that could reshape the global economy. Stay tuned as we explore these critical issues and what they mean for you.
Yeah, martial law, suspension of the elections. I mean, I don't know, 20 million people in this country illegally certainly seems to do the trick. If 5% want to create chaos, that's 1 million people. That's bigger than a standing army, way bigger. And the chaos spread throughout the whole country. I'd like to hope I'm wrong, but yeah, I mean, is it really crazy to think this way anymore? I mean, who would have ever thought that we would live through a pandemic? Who would have ever thought that we would see the kind of things that we are seeing right now? I mean, it's unbelievable. Who would have ever thought that? I mean, I'm not going to go down the wokeness again. I keep talking about it, but it bothers me more than anything what's happened to this country. How it's slid. And to me, this is why I want President Trump to win. I don't think that we can fix what ails this country financially. Look, you got Trump talking about devaluing the dollar. You got him talking about imposing sanctions on countries that move away from the dollar, that want to cozy up with the BRICS. Those are the same mistakes we've made forever. You got his VP talking about saying the same stupid things that Jared Bernstein says. Well, maybe it's not such a good idea to be the world reserve currency after all. I like him. I think he seems like a smart guy, but I don't like that. I mean, it's been a privilege we should be clinging to, and we've done everything to lose it. And I think we have lost. I mean, I would argue the hegemony's dead, the supremacy's not, but that could be gone as soon as October if they issue the new settlement currency that will settle for energy in the unit, which is 40% gold backed. And I did an interview with Vince Lancy, smart guy, and he says, yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see Russia and China back their currencies by gold too. That's why they're not telling us how much they have. So it comprises the majority of the currency within the 60% in the unit currency basket. 60% currency, 40% gold, held within the borders of the countries that mint these tokens. So they don't have to send their gold to Beijing or Moscow or any central authority. It is not a BRICS currency. It's a settlement cryptocurrency traded over Mbridge. And they all get their own monetary autonomy, but they get to hold their gold in their own borders. And that's why you've seen over 40 countries bring their gold back from the Bank of England and the New York Fed, which has always given access to the COMEX and the LBMA. But over the last 100 days, the cumulative volume in Shanghai, both the metals and the futures exchange, is up over 200%. And now has a greater volume than the COMEX does. It's the #2 most influential metals exchange on the planet. That's what will happen when these exchanges get exposed as being Bernie Madoff, as being a scam, as being massively rehypothecated and fractionally reserved, where the LBMA can trade up to 2.9 billion ounces of silver per day. That is 3.5 times annual global mine supply. Really, that's 10 times more than the silver they say they have available that isn't encumbered. There's 800 million ounces. There's supposedly 500 million ounces belong to the ETFs. So there's 300 million ounces and they're trading 3 billion ounces per day. Interesting. So when you talk about these exchanges being, I think, will be exposed for what they are, that's when we will see the price being set in places like Shanghai, in places like Moscow, in Dubai. The head of the Shanghai Gold Exchange in 2015 said, when China is able to speak at the table, the real price of gold will be observed. They know what we're doing. The new BRICS grain exchange, the guy who's running it said, all of these commodities, we produce more than the West does, but we don't control the price. It's controlled on COMEX. They know what we're doing, and they're using it against us. All of the commodities they are accumulating, and they're using the Western management, if you will, if you want to call it that, or manipulation, against us. It will end badly, the way all manipulations do. The question is it the commercial banks that go down or the managed money? My bet would be the managed money, because one of these days, just like what we're seeing right now, you're going to see in the next COT report that the commercial banks have gone much longer, because when the hedge funds sell, which they've done massively, and cover, the other side of that is taken by the commercial banks, who will go long. And one of these days, they will just let it run and bury the hedge funds. And the attempted covering, naked covering, ain't going to look pretty. It will put hedge funds out of business and jack the price up to the stratosphere, is how it ultimately happened. But when that happens, COMEX and LBMA will be viewed as a scam, and the real price setting for all commodities, from grain to oil to precious metals to rare earths, they will all go to those exchanges. And you got Jim Willey talking about the prospect of the BRICS issuing a OPEC-style cartel for silver. And I believe that, because you have President Wadudu from, it'll come to me in a moment, but he's calling for an OPEC-style cartel of all the rare earths in the Eurasian continent. Indonesia, he's the president of Indonesia, and he's calling for, a cartel in rare earths. We're going to get shut out, and that's going to happen. And that's why you need to be a contrarian right now. If you don't see this, I guess it's okay. I wouldn't blame you for not seeing it, because I spend 3 hours a day reading and watching podcasts in my free time. I mean, I'm a nerd, and it's like, you don't get any of this on the Western mainstream media. You got to dig. So it's going to happen, and I've never been more convinced of it. And you started out this podcast by saying how fast things are spinning. I don't think we've seen anything yet. I really don't. We haven't seen that one event, whether it be monetarily, socially, God forbid, much worse, but something is going to happen that's going to wake people up. And I think it's coming. I think it's going to happen. I really do. I think it's just too enticing for them to not do it. They'll all do it. It'll benefit everybody. Well, more so the countries that have been accumulating all the gold. But that's when Alistair McLeod's guesstimate that China has over 40,000 metric tons, not the 2,600 they tell us. That's why they're not telling us how much they have. They're waiting until it's time to, lift up your dress. And until that happens, sorry to be so crude, but until that happens, it doesn't do them any good to tell anyone how much they have. Well, 59 countries have formally applied. That's what we find out from the BRICS meeting in Novigrad. Who knows how many they will admit? I think it has more to do. I mean, that is a big part of it, having that critical mass. But if indeed they ratify the unit, and which I think they will, like I said, the reason I've been talking about this currency for 3 years, the common settlement currency pegged to commodities, because Sergei Glaziev has been saying it, and he's the Eurasian Economic Union financial minister. And the meeting at the Novigrad summit was between him, Putin, and Dilma Rousseff, the head of the BRICS New Development Bank, which is like the IMF. She's the former president of Brazil. She said this publicly. We've agreed in principle. We're going to have a meeting in September to ratify it, with the intention possibly of rolling it out in October. Could it happen? Yeah, why not? That's when it would start happening. Can you only imagine if the dollar got clobbered heading into the election in November? I don't know. It would be interesting times, as the Chinese curse says. That's for damn sure.
As the global landscape continues to shift, staying informed is more crucial than ever. If you found value in Andy Schectman's insights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get more informative updates. Together, we'll keep navigating these turbulent times. Until next time, stay prepared and stay informed. Thank you.